The glittering facade of global prominence often masks a stark and unsettling reality that unfolds far beneath the surface, hidden away from the flashing cameras and the adoring crowds that line the grand thoroughfares of the world. To exist in the public eye at the highest possible level is to inhabit a strange, paradoxical realm where every gesture is scrutinized, every word is weighed, and the boundary between personal liberty and institutional duty becomes permanently blurred. We look at the figures who occupy these lofty positions, and we see majesty, influence, and an enviable life of privilege. Yet we rarely contemplate the sheer weight of the invisible machinery required to keep that reality intact. Behind the polished exterior lies an intricate web of risk assessments, tactical coordination, and constant surveillance, a silent army of professionals working around the clock to neutralize shadows that the rest of us never have to see. In recent years, this delicate balance between public accessibility and private safety has been strained to its absolute limit, raising profound questions about where the responsibility of a state ends and the obligations of an individual begin. As the world watches the grand spectacles of tradition and modern celebrity play out on the international stage, a quiet storm has been gathering in the corridors of power. Driven by a document that challenges the very rules governing how we protect those who represent the heritage of a nation, this invisible battleground is not fought with open declarations, but through confidential files, redacted intelligence briefs, and the dense, unyielding language of official protocols that govern the upper echelons of society. When a public figure steps out into the world, whether to greet thousands of spectators at a major sporting event or to support a historic charitable endeavor, the seamless nature of their appearance is the result of months of agonizing preparation and logistical calculation. Yet, what happens when the consensus regarding that protection begins to fracture from within, creating a profound disconnect between the expectations of those who walked away from traditional roles and the rigid frameworks of the institutions they left behind? The modern era has introduced unprecedented complexities into the concept of security, transforming it from a standard operational necessity into a highly contested symbol of status, validation, and control. It is a world where encrypted communication channels and digital platforms can amplify threats in an instant, turning distant whispers into immediate, tangible dangers that require the intervention of global intelligence agencies. This shifting landscape forces us to look closer at the true cost of public life and the mounting friction between personal autonomy and the uncompromising boundaries established by state bureaucracies that must account for every penny of public funding and every deployment of specialized personnel. To truly understand the gravity of the situation that is currently sending shockwaves through the media landscape, one must look past the immediate headlines and immerse oneself in the atmosphere of high-stakes negotiation that defines the relationship between prominent figures and the state apparatus. There is an undeniable tension that arises when individuals who once enjoyed the absolute pinnacle of state-sponsored protection find themselves navigating a new reality, one where they must explicitly argue for their own safety against an establishment that prides itself on adherence to strict, unbending criteria. This creates a fascinating psychological and operational drama, a narrative filled with confidentiality markings, contested risk assessments, and a growing sense of urgency that threatens to spill over into the public domain. Before we delve into the extraordinary details of the specific dossiers, the hidden lists, and the astonishing claims that have recently come to light, it is worth pausing to reflect on how quickly the terms of engagement can change when tradition collides head-on with the realities of modern media warfare. As we prepare to unravel this complex tapestry of security, legacy, and institutional resistance, we invite you to join our growing community by subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell, ensuring that you never miss an episode as we track these unfolding global stories and analyze the hidden forces shaping the modern world. The atmosphere surrounding these developments is thick with anticipation, as journalists and commentators around the world attempt to piece together the fragments of information leaking out from highly sensitive meetings and classified reports. It is a narrative that challenges our perceptions of dignity and stability, forcing us to weigh the legitimate fears of individuals against the broader principles of fairness and institutional precedent that hold a society together. We find ourselves standing on the threshold of a major revelation, looking at a situation where the stakes could not possibly be higher, involving not just the safety of a few individuals, but the very reputation of the mechanisms designed to maintain public order and protect the symbolic heart of a nation. The contrast between different styles of public engagement has never been more pronounced, with some figures choosing to project an image of effortless accessibility and calm reassurance, while others appear locked in a perpetual, exhausting struggle to redefine the terms of their relationship with the state. This juxtaposition sets the stage for a profound examination of what it means to serve, what it means to protect, and what happens when the private anxieties of global figures are laid bare for the entire world to see, creating a spectacle that is as mesmerizing as it is deeply unsettling. As we stand on the precipice of this detailed exploration, it becomes increasingly clear that the narrative unfolding before us is far more than a simple dispute over logistics or budgets. It is a profound reflection of a deeper, systemic rift that has been widening over the course of several years. The air is heavy with a sense of impending disclosure, as the delicate truce between public relations strategies and journalistic scrutiny begins to dissolve under the weight of leaked documents and competing briefings that seem to appear with each passing day. Every twist and turn in this unfolding drama reveals a new layer of complexity, drawing the viewer deeper into a labyrinth of administrative rules, security cohorts, and the intense personal convictions of those who believe they are being uniquely targeted in an increasingly hostile world. The stage is now fully set for a comprehensive breakdown of the extraordinary facts, the dramatic shifts in strategy, and the highly confidential assessments that have suddenly been thrust into the spotlight, challenging everything we thought we knew about the inner workings of elite protection and the unyielding nature of institutional boundaries. The delicate curtain of secrecy has finally been torn aside, exposing a high-stakes chess match played out through confidential threat assessments and sensational media leaks that have left veteran commentators completely stunned. At the absolute center of this escalating storm is a highly sensitive document, officially designated as a Threat and Vulnerability Risk Assessment, which was commissioned by the US-based private security firm representing the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. This extensive dossier, marked strictly confidential, was systematically compiled and submitted back in February to the Royal and VIP Executive Committee, the powerful and secretive state body known by its acronym RAVC, which ultimately dictates which members of the royal family and high-ranking politicians receive taxpayer-funded, armed police protection. In an extraordinary and desperate turn of events, the contents of this highly sensitive security report have been actively leaked to major media organizations, with prominent television correspondents receiving detailed briefings on information that is traditionally kept far beyond the reach of the public eye. The revelation of these specific details has sent shockwaves through the journalistic community, not only because of the sheer severity of the claims made within the text, but because the strategic leaking of such information breaks the ultimate cardinal rule of personal security by openly advertising perceived vulnerabilities to the entire world. The specific details contained within the leaked Sussex dossier paint a terrifying, almost unbelievable picture of the daily realities allegedly faced by Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. The document boldly asserts that there are currently 6 active terrorist plots targeting the Duke, 5 of which are explicitly stated to have originated and been formulated directly on British soil. Furthermore, the assessment references alarming intelligence communicated by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which warned the Sussex security team that senior al-Qaeda figures had actively circulated an official document on an encrypted Telegram channel explicitly calling for the assassination of the Duke. This extreme level of hostility is widely believed to be a direct consequence of Prince Harry's highly controversial public admissions in his memoir, where he candidly discussed his military service in Afghanistan and detailed the elimination of 25 enemy combatants, describing them in terms that many critics argued would inevitably invite severe retaliation from extremist organizations. In addition to these explicit international terror plots, the dossier claims that the Metropolitan Police are currently aware of over 500 potential stalkers targeting the royal family as a whole, with approximately half of those individuals demonstrating focused, specific threats directed entirely at the Sussexes, leading to the active monitoring of 28 highly dangerous individuals whose behavior has raised severe red flags. Perhaps the most unsettling and legally profound claim buried deep within this private intelligence report is the assertion that the physical whereabouts of 4 convicted individuals who were previously prosecuted for making severe terror threats against Prince Harry, are currently completely unknown to the state authorities paid to protect the public. The narrative of immediate physical danger is further amplified by references to an incident that occurred in May of the previous year at the couple's private estate in Montecito, California, where an intruder carrying a heavy hammer and duct tape allegedly attempted to breach the perimeter of their mansion. While critics and legal experts are quick to point out that a failed break-in attempt on the West Coast of the United States holds absolutely no legal relevance to a demand for state-funded armed guards on the streets of the United Kingdom, Team Sussex continues to utilize these chilling examples to build a broader argument regarding their unique global vulnerability. The report insists that despite stepping down from official duties, Prince Harry remains the son of the reigning monarch and an enduring, potent symbol of the British crown, meaning that the only viable way to ensure his safety is through the immediate reinstatement of comprehensive, state-sponsored police protection whenever he sets foot in his homeland. The public relations strategy surrounding these security disclosures has created absolute chaos in the media scheduling, leading to unprecedented levels of confusion among journalists trying to cover the Duke's upcoming scheduled appearances in the United Kingdom. On a recent Friday, an official operational note was formally released to the press, confirming that the Duke would indeed be travelling to Birmingham to support a major charitable event at the National Exhibition Centre, an announcement that journalists took with the utmost seriousness due to the sacred nature of official operational briefings. However, in an astonishing about-face, less than 24 hours later, Team Sussex abruptly tore up the schedule, briefing major national broadsheets and tabloids that the trip was far too dangerous and would have to be abandoned due to the severe lack of official security framework. Despite the fact that the underlying security status quo had not changed in the slightest. Then, in a final twist that left the media corps completely bewildered, a subsequent briefing on Monday claimed that the public and the press had essentially imagined the entire controversy, asserting that the visit was going ahead exactly as originally planned, creating a highly cynical, volatile atmosphere that has left many questioning the true motivations behind these constant public security hysterics, the profound irresponsibility of using the theoretical threat of a major terrorist attack as a lever to exert public pressure on a government committee has drawn fierce criticism from across the political and social spectrum. Commentators have pointed out the shocking cynicism required to invoke the spectre of an al-Qaeda assault in a major British city like Birmingham, completely ignoring the immense collateral and ancillary damage such an event would inflict on the local population, the charity workers, and the wounded veterans attending the event. This dramatic escalation is viewed by many as a form of aggressive institutional lobbying, an expensive and desperate attempt to force the hand of the British state after 3 consecutive legal defeats in the High Court. The legal reality remains entirely unchanged. The British government has drawn an incredibly firm, bureaucratic line stating that full, automatic police protection is reserved strictly for full-time working royals who actively reside within the United Kingdom and represent the sovereign on a daily basis. The state has made it absolutely clear that it will not capitulate to high-stakes media pressure, leaving Prince Harry and his legal team locked in a bitter, ongoing feud against a system that refuses to grant exceptional rules for 2 incredibly wealthy, non-working individuals who have spent the better part of 6 years publicly attacking the very institution they now rely upon for status and protection. To understand why this relentless conflict over armed police protection matters so deeply, one must look beyond the immediate logistics of security cordons and examine the profound constitutional principles that govern the modern British state. The fundamental issue at the heart of the matter is not whether Prince Harry faces genuine risk, as no one within the government or the intelligence community has ever denied that high-profile figures attract dangerous individuals, but rather how a democratic society establishes fair and consistent rules for the allocation of highly specialized state resources. In the United Kingdom, even members of Parliament are not granted personal, 24-hour armed protection teams, despite the tragic reality that multiple elected representatives have been murdered or severely assaulted in their local constituencies over the past 2 decades. The state must draw definitive operational lines based on established cohorts, and the current legal framework explicitly dictates that automatic protection is a duty tied directly to official state service, rather than an unearned birthright or a permanent status symbol for those who have chosen to relocate to a foreign republic. When the Duke and Duchess of Sussex chose to formally step down from their roles as working members of the royal family, their status as internationally protected persons naturally lapsed, meaning that the British state was no longer obligated to fund an incredibly expensive, round-the-clock security apparatus for individuals operating entirely outside the institutional framework. This ongoing institutional standoff exposes a massive, irreconcilable disconnect between the financial realities of the Sussexes and the traditional expectations of the British public, who view the couple's persistent legal challenges as an attempt to secure unique privileges without performing any of the associated public duties. Having accumulated a vast fortune, estimated at close to $100 million through high-profile media deals, commercial memoirs, and lucrative streaming contracts that frequently capitalized on revealing private family dynamics, the Duke and Duchess possess more than enough personal wealth to fund their own highly sophisticated private security arrangements. The unyielding refusal to accept the decisions of Weaponizes is viewed by many institutional insiders as a desperate struggle to retain the ultimate validation of royal status, as the reinstatement of state-funded police guards would effectively provide them with an official, government-backed stamp of supreme importance. King Charles has consistently maintained that the door remains open for a potential return to the institutional fold, provided the couple agrees to submit fully to the established rules, protocols, and collective discipline of the royal house. Yet Prince Harry appears entirely unwilling to surrender his personal autonomy while simultaneously demanding that the state maintain the one major lever of control it possesses over his international itineraries, in sharp and brilliant contrast to the chaotic drama and media briefings surrounding the Sussex security dossier. Other senior members of the royal family have spent recent weeks demonstrating precisely what traditional public service and dignified visibility are supposed to look like. The Princess of Wales captivated the public during her carefully calibrated appearance at the Wimbledon Tennis Championships, where she bypassed the comfort of the royal box to sit directly among ordinary spectators on the outer courts, effortlessly reminding the world of the power of quiet duty and accessibility. As the dedicated patron of the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club, a position passed down to her directly by the late Queen Elizabeth, her presence projected an image of stability, grace, and enduring commitment to national institutions that stood in stark opposition to the alarmist headlines originating from across the Atlantic. Similarly, Queen Camilla demonstrated significant cultural nerve during Royal Week in Scotland, where she hosted a highly publicised event for her literacy charity, the Queen's Reading Room, and openly greeted controversial literary figures like J.K. Rowling. This deliberate, high-profile engagement signaled a profound understanding of public sentiment, showing that the modern monarchy is capable of navigating complex cultural landscapes with confidence and fortitude, rather than retreating into safe institutional neutrality or generating constant personal grievances. The generational divide regarding the monarchy's future remains a critical challenge, as recent statistical data indicates a noticeable decline in support among younger demographics, shifting from historic highs down to a critical 55% over the course of the current reign, a trend that demands absolute strength and stability from those at the helm of the institution. The commercial motivations of the Sussex camp are increasingly transparent to seasoned observers, who note that maintaining a tangible, visible connection to the British crown remains their absolute greatest financial asset in an unforgiving global marketplace where major Hollywood contracts have steadily begun to dry up. There is an urgent, calculated need to position their young children alongside the reigning monarch for long-term branding purposes, particularly given the very real constitutional possibility that future letters patent could eventually alter or remove their official princely titles if they remain permanently estranged from the working life of the nation. Yet, the continuous public invoking of potential terrorist threats and the strategic leaking of confidential security documents do nothing to build genuine public affection or institutional trust. Instead, they cause immense logistical distractions for the charities involved and overshadow the invaluable work of wounded veterans and dedicated community volunteers who deserve to be the true focus of national attention, ultimately. The British public and the institutions of the state have made their perspective abundantly clear, prioritizing the enduring values of dignity, quiet resilience, and structured stability over the volatile demands of modern celebrity culture. The ongoing security saga has reached a natural turning point, where the Duke of Sussex must finally learn to accept the uncompromising boundaries of the state apparatus, recognize that the rule of law applies equally to all citizens regardless of lineage, and let go of a bitter, Exhausting feud that yields nothing but public cynicism and media exhaustion. As the grand machinery of the constitutional monarchy continues to move forward, focusing its energies on meaningful national service and the preservation of historic traditions, the hollow drama of leaked dossiers and legal ultimatums naturally fades into irrelevance, leaving behind a clear understanding that true royal status is defined by what one gives to the nation, rather than what one demands from it. The public looks toward a future anchored by those who choose to stand firmly within the framework of duty, proving that the true strength of the crown lies in its ability to withstand the passing storms of media controversy while remaining a steadfast, reassuring symbol of national unity for generations to come.